Hi everyone, it's Athena here. I hope you've had a good weekend. Unfortunately, with all the sad news recently about all the terrorist attacks that are happening in the UK, being half British myself, it's really difficult to watch, and I have a lot of friends in London and it's very close to home. So I wanted to do a video on this, and I wanted to talk about the effects or the sort of reactions that people have after trauma, how to deal with it, and the things that you probably shouldn't say to somebody who has experienced trauma. So the four most common characteristics or reactions to trauma are firstly to feel incredibly alone and vulnerable. It is completely normal for somebody to feel really scared, and also it's normal for them to maybe find it really difficult to calm themselves down and to even get their head around what they may have just witnessed or what may have just happened. Especially if their life was threatened in this traumatic incident, or if they witnessed any sort of scenes of brutality, or maybe they witnessed other people being hurt, people with blood, dismembered bodies. These kind of things can be extremely traumatic for somebody, and obviously that will then lead to intense emotion, and intense emotion can be anything from being extremely afraid, extremely tearful, or very angry. So it's a very, very difficult time, and experiencing intense emotions is obviously a very huge part of recovering from trauma. Now, the other two most common things related to experiencing a traumatic event are having very disturbing thoughts and having flashbacks. Unfortunately, that's what happens with trauma. It tends to stick in a person's brain, and it pops up uninvited whenever it wants. And this is the difficult part. This is the hardest part to treat. And then that leads on to feeling like things are never going to get better. So people end up feeling very hopeless because a lot of time might have passed, but they don't see themselves getting any better. They don't see themselves making any progress. And it's quite a lengthy process, and of course it's different for everybody. Every individual will cope with it in a different way. It depends on the support they have around them. If they have supportive family and friends, then that's great. If they have a good psychologist to help them through it, that's also good. But unfortunately, some people don't have this support, and that will then make the trauma harder to overcome. But if somebody really wants to get better, then they will try everything they can to get better. And if they see that maybe seeing one psychologist or psychotherapist isn't really working for them, then maybe they will seek out somebody else that can help them. They will try other ways of coping. They will maybe try medication. They will try other trauma therapies such as EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing is what EMDR stands for, and that's been very, very helpful in treating trauma, in reducing the intensity of the flashbacks or nightmares that people have. So in general, there are ways of helping people who suffer with trauma, and the best thing a person can do is to not give up hope and to just keep trying different things until they find something that really helps their symptoms. Now, other things that are very common are for the person to have feelings of disbelief, to have feelings of anxiety, to have feelings of fear or anxiety about the future. They may be very irritable, very angry, very tearful at times, and they might sort of have certain outbursts of emotions in unexpected moments. They will have they might have difficulty making decisions, especially if they develop depression or any anxiety disorder after the trauma, especially if they develop PTSD. They will feel powerless, they will feel helpless. There's a lot of reactions that somebody can have to trauma, and it's different for everybody. Some people may also use alcohol or drugs to cope with the trauma. And of course, this isn't the best way of doing it. At least if you need to cope, then find some doctor that can maybe prescribe you some antidepressants for a year after to see how you cope with it. But it is best to avoid alcohol, obviously, and drugs. Now, some things that you can do to cope with trauma is to obviously talk about your experiences and your feelings with people that you feel comfortable with, or with people that you trust. You have to take care of yourself physically, so try and eat healthily, sleep as much as you can, listen to your body, exercise, do things that make you feel good, that can make you feel better. And be around people. Don't isolate yourself, don't hide away, don't completely disrupt your routine. Try and keep to a routine as much as possible. And of course, be sensible. Don't expose yourself to maybe scary films or watching the news that talks about the traumatic incident over and over again. Avoid things that will trigger you. Avoid things that will make you feel sad again. And just maybe watch comedies or do things that you enjoy. Go dancing, do gardening, take your dog for a walk, or maybe volunteer at a pet rescue center. Do something that will lift your mood, that will distract you in a good way, in a positive way. And even write in a journal. If you're not somebody who writes in a journal, then maybe start a blog. There are ways for you to deal with your emotions, and the more that you talk about something and the more you get it out, the better you will feel in the long run. And when you notice that you don't want to talk about it anymore, then that sometimes means that you are getting better, that you no longer feel the need to talk about the traumatic incident. That's a good sign. It means that you are slowly able to just immerse yourself in your daily routine without having it in the back of your head all the time, or without having as many flashbacks that you are being triggered into. Also, try and accept help from others as much as possible. If you see that you have friends or family that want to help, that want to maybe make things a bit easier for you, then please accept this help. Try and find a good psychotherapist or somebody who can help you with your PTSD if you do end up developing this. And a very important thing, if you are a family member of somebody who has post-traumatic stress or who has dealt with trauma, is make sure that you don't tell them things such as, "It could have been worse. Don't worry. I know exactly how you feel, but you just have to get on with your life. And it's best if you just keep busy," and these kind of things, because you don't really know what they've been through. And it is human nature to want to fix other people, to want to say something useful and to make the pain go away or to make the suffering go away. But a lot of the time it's better to just acknowledge that the person is suffering, to acknowledge that, "I'm sorry, I don't really know a lot about what you've experienced, but I'm here for you if you need me." And the one last thing I wanted to say was that if a person who's already experienced a traumatic incident is somebody who has experienced trauma in their past, or who already lives with post-traumatic stress or any other mental illness, they will be even more vulnerable to this new trauma. They will feel even more overwhelmed and anxious and terrified, as maybe a person would that hasn't had any previous trauma. So it is important that these people, the ones that already have a traumatic past, are given more support and are given more time and more understanding in their healing from this new trauma that they've experienced. If this video helped you, then please share it on your social media and click on the subscribe button, and I will continue doing videos every Monday. So if there's anything at all that you would like me to talk about, then let me know. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good week, and I'll see you again next Monday. Thanks a lot. Bye.